Hi, folks. It's 6:42 a.m. on the 11th day, 10th month, 2021. I'm going to have a look around again at some of the insectoid history of our planet that's showing itself to me on Google Earth as I've been looking into mudflood stuff. I decided today to have a look here at this part of Australia. I've been having a look around Western Australia for a while at the mines, at the hills, and at the what I used to think was a mud flood event. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up a few of my markers here. Then I've been a busy boy. I've been all over. So I'm going to try to just pull up one, see where it takes me to. All right, we're going to look at this area. And this was a difficult map to look at because of the shadows in it. But it also showed me quite plainly topography with shadows. So if I oriented the map this direction, I see the heads. You see the bumps of the eyes. This one here has the bumps in the topography. As I look down here in this part of my map, you'll see it's how many meters up, so I can get a good idea. Is it going downhill or up? Is there a depression? Is it a bump or a sink? That eye is bulging out like an insect eye, bird eye dips in. There's a difference. So I seen three of them here straight off as I was looking at your mountain history. Another one laying here. They're so eroded because I believe the ants, they built over the top and make tunnels that goes down towards their food. And their food is usually the humps of where everything leads. So I would look around for activity where things would meet. And usually I find something in one of those spots. Here it says it's a bird. I'm talking here. Eye, remnants of the beak, and the crown piece. Because very often you see on their head a curved, bony structure. And a lot of times it leaves a fossil remains that's white on the top of the soil. So it's always an indicator. Like that bone there. So we're going to have a look around. I hope it's not too choppy. I hope everybody enjoys my imaginarium. This was interesting. I saw a skull feature here. You have to turn it just right. And that one don't look insectoid. I mean, like a bird. Excuse me. Looks like a skull. And the ants would have deposited sand over the top from wherever underneath and consumed it and then brought its food underneath. So we see layer upon layer of fossils, of things that landed here and died. Who knows if it landed on something large and then was killed by whatever insects were in the ground. I call them ants. We can't assume that everything lives like we do now. That it has blood, that is hemoglobin, and a heart that beats. Just have to fuel an electrical system of a body to sustain it. Or some things might not even need air. We're thinking everything has to be like us. And while from the size of some of these creatures, fossilized remains that I'm seeing with my imaginarium, right? I don't want anybody to give me a bunch of crap. These are not small. I'm going to do this in miles. Just from like the tip of there down to here. 0.3 miles. For you kilometer fans. 0.62 kilometers. Not small. Not small. If one of them took a poo on you, you'd know it. I've never really seen the feet or legs. I've seen the remnants of one out in a desert. Because I look all over. So I'm gonna click a new one. All right. This one says look at 2013 map. It takes me right through that map too. So this area was difficult to judge. When you start to get toward the coastlines, the erosion's more, and you often see very flat topped ant activity. So very faintly in the strata here, I picked up a face with a nose, eye area, top of head, but it didn't have that peak like I would see in a bird. Almost looks like a Picasso drawing, don't it? Yeah, my imaginarium is my imaginarium. You might see many other ones in here because, like I say, they're building on top of each other with feeding tubes that usually show us where their activity is. And this is not small, actually. This one goes on down to another face here. The legends speak of giants. The land is showing them to us. I used to be a firm believer in the mud flood and the ancient trees. And as I've gone and re-looked at my research, I see termite mound like anthills with the tops gone off, and they fell in after time from rains and whatevers. We're very aware of that some insects like mud daubers build hoop structures one after the other to give a fused brick or a fused rock type look, which was very well spotted by some, actually. That was very interesting to read about. So I don't think I'm belittling anybody's theories. I'm taking them all on board. But this here is not small. Like if that's an arm, we're looking almost 2 kilometers from there to there to the head. And if this is the bottom of the body, because the ocean came in over here, right? That's not small. That's a mile. That's within the realms of things in the book of Enoch. Well, that's 1.67 miles long. Yep, and this is in Western Australia. We just happen to be having a look around here. This one says skull. Not all my markers here are on Earth. I marked the moon and I mark Mars and moon as well, because I'm seeing similarities. This one's not on Earth. So I'm going to continue my clickings. Bird 2013. There's something about the sight of a big old bird. It makes me happy. Oh yeah. There it is. Quite plain. You got one going that direction and one this direction. They must not like to eat the heads very much. A lot of times I see them, they eat out the neck and the body's gone, but the head is there, or sometimes through the eye, the anthill comes through up onto the top, and you very often will see a bird beak and head all around what we would think of was a giant stump. We were thinking too small. I was. So think big, folks. This head here is probably about a third of a mile. Half mile long right there. Roughly 0.49 for hair splitters. But I had more beak I could have marked. And then a bird. And I see a lot of shapes along your coastline here. A lot of lakes that are shaped like cone heads. The Bart Simpson head, which is flat with a square piece on the top, that like the Shinto priests hats they wear. These ancient religions definitely emulate what was here before. Like that flat head shape there. The Bart Simpson head with the thing coming off the top. Of course, you got water draining out of here. You got erosion. And you know what else you got? You got some really cool shit to look at. Pardon my swears, but I never list my videos for When did I go? Oh yeah, this was just a because it's a very, the shape of it is correct for, it's almost sarcophagus like, isn't it? Originally I thought they was wrapped and laid here like a funeral, and then I started thinking about insects, and I watched a video about insects and lots of their activities, and well, it's a much more logical explanation. That's just a big one. And I found some more of these remains, like squid kongs and things like that. These fossilized remains of sea creatures, squids, shrimp. I might have to zoom up, let it come in. Those type things that I showed you that are down in the bite. I'm just not happy with my image here. We'll see if we can get a better one. Oh, that's much better. Or you can see the remains of these squid type creatures that I showed you that are down around Esperance, Western Australia. This is one of the only other places aside from Nazca under the big lines that I've seen these fossils. And it's showing an even earlier history of our planet. Or who knows, maybe this was in the belly of something that ate them, which I'm starting to think could be true. Because it would explain why they're always in lumps like that. More of those type sea fossils here. That's what those lines are out there. A cool history right before our eyes. So this area was very interesting. Let me see if I can pick up a few more of my pins. Because I did a good lookings through here. And I didn't mark everything. Because I'm a wascally wabbit. You know, I do see this beak here in the end of this leg, this bird head here. In the remains of the elements that are in them as they decayed. I don't always think certain things percolated through a gem and made of gemstones. I think these animals were made of them. I think they were crystal beings and they were fueled by energy itself from the universe. And their very feathers may have been long, tenderly crystals that would resemble the one spike on a snowflake or a feather. If you look at the individual pieces of a feather, if those were crystalline, they would focus energy in and fuel the creature to live. But isn't that cool? It looked like they was giving each other a kiss at the end. And I like to think niceness is like that. And then they were consumed. They became a part of the planet that we ourselves should act like a part of. It's very cool, some of the stuff you can see when you relax your mind to the rules of what you were told you were allowed to see. Does that make sense? And my imaginarium knows no limits. See if we can pick up some mimes. I'm going to show you this. You all very often see the shape of a bird's head in a mine. Straight off. And so I've been looking at mines and where are they digging? And how could we benefit from that ourselves? Right? Do you see the shape of the bird here, that road followed that contour? And they dug it out. There's lots of mines I've been looking at. So maybe I could do a determinant of where can we get ourselves a claim that's going to have a great opals or something in it. Right? That's where I've been doing my Lightning Ridge lookings. And then get a claim so we can be okay ourselves. All of us. So I've been doing some mine hopping, kind of what I call it, when I look at the shapes in the land and I see where they're digging. The stains tell us a lot about the breakdown. So that was just me just marking a mine. But if I say I see a mine bird, it'll be very obvious. You see this bird's head here? Comes on down into here. Its eye would have been here, and they're digging right here. They're missing it too. They should go over here. See that bird head there? They're missing it. They should go here. I'm telling you something. I know something. And I think I'm right. Think. See, this is my imaginarium. This is what I do when I'm not showing you guys stuff that you guys say I lower you all the time with. So this raises us all up. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this creature. Imagine the sound when it came. Is this that other mine? Yeah. Let's go look some more. Let's do some more hopping. This one says a serpent. Did we have Naga in Australia? I think so. Look at the head of this one. A highly venomous snake. The Irwin serpent. But yet, here's another shape of a bird head with the. Well, I haven't really named that piece yet. I'll have to look up what that piece is called on most birds. A dodo bird had a big bony structure on the top, and they're bony. You'd fight with them. Well, isn't that interesting? Big serpent head, got that. How's your imaginarium doing here? This will be like tidal pulley things with water drains off. It's really hard to determine with this look here, like house skin or something silly like that, because those colors will change over time. However, the area they fill up, topography wise, may very well reveal what was there. And in this one here, you see the beak, you see the top, you see the bony structure. I do. It's another bird. Y'all had some really big birds in Australia. Really big ones. Ain't just spiders that are big in Australia. This one here says face. So we're going right back in. And here's the face right here. I had it up. I could look. He's wearing a turban. He's got the nose. So guess what? The Ottomans were there first. Look at that. That's the Sultan, man. That might be his pet bird. Hello, Farty. Oh, you see it? Isn't that cool? You're not so hidden history. You ready for this one? Your entire peninsula. Well, where am I? Oh, this took me into Saudi Arabia. The entire Saud Peninsula is a bird head. Beak comes out this way, the bony structure, and this all through the West Bank, in Israel, and all that is actually the cone piece on the top of its head. It's a big one because I wanted to see what the Nile was. And as soon as I zoomed in, I saw that. I went, wow, isn't that cool? So yeah, I've kind of gone a little away from Australia then. We can zoom back somewhere else. I've been mapping. Because this mud flood, it was didn't make sense that a whole bunch of stuff came from above. It wasn't making sense that I started thinking it was coming from underneath because it was looking like volcanic. And then I got to thinking insects, because the volcanic wasn't always being true with an area. You were having this look, but yet no recorded history of volcanism. So these were things I used in my determinants. Now I've been thinking about the crystals that would form a wing or a color through and I started looking at this area here where I'll show you where we are just so you know. All right, this might chop it up. All right, we're way. I've got you flipped topsy-turvy so you'll know. See, that's India. And this is the Himalayas and all that. Okay. Oh, I've got to find it again. Handy dandy place mark. Right. Let's go right back to it. I very often look at these lakes too and the shapes of them. Okay. Back to this big head here. And that's a big one, and this ain't small. This ain't small at all. I mean, just from here to here. Come on, just click something. I just want a rough estimate. Man, that's 0.8 miles. And these are untapped mineral claims up here. This has the look of the kind of minerals you see in an area that yield very high quality blue barrels. You know, those type of sapphire and rubies. Yeah, this is quite the creature. And I started thinking about what was decaying on the crystalline form of these animals that would yield these colors. What did the ants dig through and bring up to make their tunneling system that they do lap upon lap of Earth? and whatever cements they make in their mouths, like a mud dauber. And then look at some mud dauber nest pictures of how different colors of different sands end up in the same construction. And you'll see why I'm thinking that way. So there's a big bird head there. And this area was extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. And every time you had that look, you had a bird head. This one's difficult to say. Which year did I go to get it to show out? Because I do have to play with different years. No, this one's only given one image. Oh, I didn't do myself any justice there. This one says whole bird. And again, we've jumped over to, looks like we're in the United States. Now, this one was a very interesting one I showed. Oh, I showed this one before, didn't I? Where the beak is and one of the wings comes down here, like it flied and splatted down, laying there. And it's a whole mountain. Yeah. Our ancestors are in the hills. And if they have ancestors out in the universe, and they come back here and see what we've done, how do you think that's going to go? Aren't they beautiful? So I'll zoom out. It might take a moment. And you'll see where we are. Again, I'm on Western Australia. No. So yeah, this is a very interesting to me. Untitled place mark face. This will be your coastline faces. There's a bird lump right here. See it? Beak, head, where part of the wing structure would have been on the body. This is a face here. Excuse me. And it's not a bird face. So it's another one of your legendary giants, Australia. And they could have been flying. There was many legends of flying hominids during the early doomas of this planet, which are the ages of specific ages of this world. And its growth have been defined that way. Now, I've got a lot of markings I could show you guys. I don't want to drop a pin, but I wanted to show you a few things for sure. All right, I'm going to go to anthills and birds. And we're jumping across the world, and we are here. Yeah, this area I found very interesting. I think we're up in the Gobi Desert, Mongol steppes area. Now, this is, again, that's Saudi Arabia upside down. That'll be the Suez Canal. So, like I said, I don't always use north as north. Matter of fact, I almost always mix it up. I have to throw my perspective of how I look at things off. They make us look at things like this and this, but why shouldn't I look at it like that? Is somebody really important make sure theirs was on the top of things? I don't know. But this structure was very anthill looking. I don't know if you've done any lookings at anthills, termite mounds. But on vast areas, they will cover and look like this, especially after rains. Head and body. Okay, let's go up a lot. This one was large. The head is up here. See it? It's almost a feathery bird head down here. Beak structure gone. It's another one under it it's laying on. The rest of its body came down here. It's very decayed. Very interesting area, actually. I'll go in on another This was another where I saw an eye structure, top of a head, part of a beak, and a bunch of sand and erosion, of course. Lots of erosion, lots of scree. Goes through a softer area of the animal. Oh, who knows? That might have been where it was bit. When somebody took a big bite out of that. Maybe that was the tasty gizzard. Who knows? Gizzards are nice. Another stain of a bird head. Rivers go around it. It's harder material. It's not eroding the same. Yup. So I had that marked as a big bird. And it is. Comes all the way on down. There's another head with a mouth. A roadrunner ain't got nothing on that. No, even the stains are very curvy, feathery like in this particular area. It hasn't eroded the same. No, this is can be quite arid. So it made me go, Like this made me go, Tell you, it does my head in some days looking at this. Head and body, face. I think I've hit all that. I'm going to go for a few randoms. Give you a few randoms, and I'm going to wrap it up. I don't like the shows to be too long. Right. Your entire Norway flipped upside down. Like this would be normally north. There's the head part. Here's the wing structure. All of Norway. Now look at this piece here. Eye structure. Imaginarium beak. And it says here it's a big bird. Yeah, I've done all extensive looking through here. Out there, that head's not on this planet. Even the look of Greenland has that bird beak look. And going out into the ocean, you do see structure out here. To me, this is very interesting. The birds of Earth, I'm telling you, they were big. Do a little zoom in. I hope I don't go too choppy. This is some of the Grand Canyon area. Extensive looking through here. So it fascinates me. I can spend the rest of my life walking through these canyons, looking at these structures. Something would have been eaten here. See how all the tunnels go to this spot. Well, it says, look here. This was an oddness. It looked like it had a couple statues on it. I might have showed this one to y'all already. I'm going to let it load. It's not happy with it. The coordinates I'm at are 3807 24.22 north, 109 57 51.58 west, elevation 1348 meters. Yeah, this one was fascinating to me. So I'll still getting my opinions in on this. It's some stuff here looked like statuary in this area in here. And it bears investigation. Everything bears investigating if you're allowed to go here. Because a lot of the ancient Egyptian history of the Grand Canyon gets covered up. Why? Because we let them? I don't know. That wasn't a very great reveal, was it? Matter of fact, I want to leave that there because we need to go there in person. I could take you to another planet if you want. It's hard to show you what to show you guys. Those reds are on a different planet. I don't know where we're going, but we're going. And then I'm going to go eat dinner. I might have actually shown this area already. I have to do a look in. right there. So much ant activity. The skull is here. Put a new one down. Sometimes you block yourself. See the body? Right there. And that's not particularly huge either. That should be easily measurable, even on the ground. 0.10 miles. That's within the realm of a size of a Book of Enoch type monster. Look at this one here, like it's taking a bite out of something. See it? As you look at this ant activity, one upon top of the other, I think things came down to feed upon what was laying on the ground dead, and they themselves became victim of whatever laid out these big things, man. I would have been a hell of a poison these things, yeah. So that like a big bird. Very interesting, that one, actually. I'm doing some live looking now. Well, why mop something else that you've already done? And if you look at this like from a side angle, you would think it was a big mud flow. That's what I used to think. And then I started looking in the mud, and I couldn't agree with myself anymore. There was no mud flood. There was a time on this planet when insects ruled the ground itself, and they made the mountains out of what they ate, whether it was serpents, whether it was bird creatures or insectoids or giants or squids. Yeah, how's your imaginarium doing with this? That's why I left it there, just so you can have a little look for yourselves. You can see the faces, you see the shapes in it. Oh, and eaten by the ants, man. Them. And where did they go? I know that ants themselves, very often, even at the end of a battle with other ants, take their dead below ground with them. Because I am very rarely do I ever see the remains of an ant or a bee, but I do see them sometimes. And this is our wonderful, wonderful world. And it is wonderful. And I wonder about things on it. It's what makes things wonderful. Head. And if we don't look into things, they just never will look that much. That's one of those Bart Simpson flatheads. See? Mouth, nose area, brow ridge, flat top of head. And that's again inside one of these all blooped out, smoothed out, mudded areas that I used to think was part of a mud flood. But I was mistaken. There were flying creatures. When they were on the ground, they got ate by ants. Yep. And the shapes of those animals still remain. Anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to show you all today. To me, it's special to look at things and to show you things. I still think one of the coolest one I ever seen was inside this volcano. Robzilla. So I'm going to end with that one. Wild Japan. Look at that. Look at that creature. Didn't that look like something from out of that movie Alien? So I'm going to leave you with that inside that caldera right there. Big love, people. Keep your imaginarium alive. Keep your brain working. Big love. Peace. Oops, click.